Anybody else have flashbacks to the Ed Wood movie? Watching
Which one?
the
Well, you're looking at that house behind me.
Yeah.
You kind of think it's kind of suburban, the valley, it's San Fernando, the hideous post-war bungalow that covers places like Sun Valley and
I just love the
Silmar
fact
and things
that
like that.
he ends up in Hollywood, not Hollywood, but he ends up in LA,
like
which
Glendale,
he's
isn't it?
quite damning.
But he was there before in the 20s. He was there earlier. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. How
And then he packed up everything, all his art, and took it to Poland just in time for it to all get blown up.
It's those pesky Nazis.
Well, I'm telling you,
I have to say that I got like 4 or 5 minutes into this and I just went, oh, he's a Nazi. Like I literally, that's when I said that thing in the DMs too, when I was like, welcome to yelling about movies, more Nazis,
This is bonus Nazis.
Yeah,
it was just one of those things,
and I was sort of surprised that the people were taken by surprise.
Right. No, I was immediately like, oh, he's Polish. He's Polish. He was born in like
he's a Polish nationalist.
But it's
right.
not
Yeah, the thing is,
Nazis
I wouldn't actually call him a Nazi. I really wouldn't call him that.
It's nuanced for sure.
Yeah, it's
okay.
nuanced.
And I think he reassessed things when he
he did. He did later on in life realize
his artwork is very like, it was no shocker that they reached out to him and said, we would like you to paint to create something for us.
Yeah,
because of course, look at the friggin' art.
Okay.
But, it's like Fritz Lang. I would like to see some documentation on that.
Have you seen any of this guy's artwork before?
I'd never heard of this guy before.
I'll tell you, I have seen, when they started showing it, I recognized a lot of it. And where I recognized it from was people talking about Eastern European fascist websites.
Yeah.
And it shows up
I
in the background of
recognized it from seeing it tattooed on Nazis.
Yes.
Oh, fuck.
Same here. They use their icon.
They've really adopted
but
it.
It's both sides. There's a bunch of leftist and especially anarchist people in Eastern Europe who also identify with his art because of the whole thing about how art is ruined by imperialists and stuff like that. Like he does play to both sides. And I mean, he was an anti-fascist when he was younger. He hated Mussolini and stuff like that. It's just, it turns out he also hated the Jews. So when he went back to Poland and started working for their nationalist government, A to B to C.
Right.
Yes, he hated Jews, but he also hated Hitler. So,
well, I'm just going back to
lots of
he's
people.
He's his own man.
There's one of the first principles that I started.
I'm sure there were a lot of anti-Semites in Europe who hated Hitler.
Right. They probably, yes, there are plenty. Yeah.
Especially in England.
It's like, I thought, like, I started at 11 o'clock at night. I thought, well, I'll watch half tonight, maybe tomorrow night. And the thing is, I couldn't stop watching it.
It is fascinating.
Literally something I didn't hear about this guy. I'd never seen him before. And it was about something I really love. This is a personal thing for me. My favorite art movement is pop surrealism. Los Angeles Juxtaposed magazine, Robert Williams, Kenny Scharf.
Well, I was surprised that you hadn't heard about him because they did a write-up on him in Juxtapose. That's how come I knew about him. And so when this documentary came out, I was like, oh, that guy.
I must have missed the issue or something like that. Because well, the thing is, I was just kind of like, it was these guys recognizing his technical brilliance and his vision it just sucked me right in, because I think that's an amazing art movement.
He's talented enough for the mainstream art world, but he's too weird.
But the dude starts out with a blank piece of paper and does the thing with the pencil dots.
But yeah.
I mean, fuck. Come on, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, not everybody can do that. You know what I mean?
Very few people can.
Yeah.
This movie, there's something about these Netflix documentaries. I mean, I've certainly watched enough of them, and this was very similar. They've kind of got a pacing. There's a certain consistency to the way these things get edited, the way they structure all the talking heads. Like it's not like I've seen, and this was no different. Having said that, so as a film outside of the subject matter, this is just for me like just yet another Netflix documentary. Fine, like I've seen a lot of them. I usually find whatever they're talking about interesting, but yeah, I never heard of this guy. The quality of the work is so great.
Yes.
regardless of the subject matter, like just these are really great sculptures. The drawings are fantastic. And then you layer on this nutcase at the center of all of it. It was kind of like, you know, Liam Gallagher shooting his mouth off about how great he is and how everybody else sucks. And then, yeah, I mean, actually,
I also thought of Donald Trump at points.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I found it like you, Scott. I found this very watchable.
Very watchable.
Boom Girl even watched the whole thing with me, and I learned a lot about a guy I didn't know anything about.
Yeah,
I watched half of it immediately after we wrapped on Sunday, and then watched the rest the next day.
I do think it's interesting that there's an entire section of them talking about what an autodidact he is while he's at fucking Art Academy in Chicago, and then also goes to another academy in Poland. And it's just like, okay, hold on.
He's not really
He's not I guess he's not completely an autodidact, but he did quit the art.
Quit pretty quick.
The art academy, because they wanted him to work from models, and he wanted to work from what was in his head,
which apparently worked just fine.
It worked out for him.
Yeah, it's like
he was a better art student, I felt, than Hitler.
For sure.
That's a pretty low bar to clear. I've seen Hitler's paintings.
Yeah, he was kind of like he was a postcard artist, basically. Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yes,
I wanted to say something about the film as a film.
This shit here, this stuff he did.
Yeah.
I mean, that was like, again, this is amazing.
Well, you see why, like, the comic
the pop surrealists kind of came upon this guy. Says this guy.
You see why Adam Jones from Tool shows up in this?
Insane.
Yeah, it's such a particular subculture that this guy just immediately just slotted into.
Yeah.
You know, and Robert Wilson and R. Crumb and all this, you know, this sort of rogues gallery.
I felt there was a little Geiger in him, or Giguet.
Oh yeah, pretty much. That's that same kind of deal. H.R. Giguet,
and just the fact that there's so much sort of I had a word for it, repetition in his designs. There's sort of this vibration that's felt to me very druggy, very psychedelic.
Psychedelic,
like the face that ends up, the hairline becomes a mustache, and there's another face, and then it's another face, and another face going up.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
You know, so it's like, and it was so fascinating how he sort of just folded what's it, pre-Columbian art into it.
That was interesting, wasn't it?
And then he wanted to like merge that sort of with Slavic identity, and it was, I swear to God, I mean, Chris said that this is a very sort of run-of-the-mill in terms of filmmaking documentary, but I don't know if I've ever watched a documentary about a person where I had to completely reassess my opinion of him over and over. Like every 10 minutes I was forming another opinion about this guy.
That's great.
I think he's speaking formally.
But is that by virtue of the way of the movie, or just the actual
subject matter? Right?
No, I think it's both, because I think a lousier documentary probably would have gone perfectly chronologically, and this kept looping back.
Yeah, I'll give you
that. But when he was in Poland, it kept sort of taking you back through and giving you more.
It's a really good episode of the American experience. Like, that's what this is. Like,
I thought the structure of it was like, okay, this guy, he's brilliant. He has these things he can just kind of get ideas out of his head, and was way ahead of his time, making these beautiful pieces of artwork and sculpture. Goes to Poland and gets all destroyed by the Nazis, right? And you're like, oh, this poor guy. And then all these people in America who kind of sympathize with him as an artist were all fucking disappointed to see how line he was with anti-Semitism and Nazism. It was, you don't see that kind of thing. There's like all the people who are talking heads in this movie talking how great he is, like, maybe he wasn't that cool, you know.
So they're finding this out. They're finding this out as they're making the documentary.
Gray area. It's a gray area. It's wonderful. You don't see it, you know.
But the reason that they are sort of weirded out is because they're literally finding it out as they're making the documentary.
Yes, exactly right.
They go to Poland to learn more about him in Poland, just thinking, oh, we're going to find out about how all his art got destroyed. And it's like, oh fuck. Oh no.
And that to me, I
we
think
have to
is
go
one of
back and tell all these people what
that's
it
one of the
was.
strengths of the film is that, like I said, you start from the point of view of one of these juxtaposed guys who's just like, oh, I love weird art, and I'm going to meet this old Polish guy, and it's going to be cool. And then at some point, they stop interviewing all the juxtaposed American artists, and they start interviewing Polish artists, and they're like, you guys don't get it.
Yeah.
You don't get it. You don't understand how much this guy
fits
means
into a context in Poland.
Yes.
Well, that guy from the New York Times who's just immediately willing to forgive him, just instantly, like, oh well, and just hand waves all of it away and just moves on to.
It was the Times,
right?
He had to roll with it. It's
like. I would say also that one of the things I did like about the movie, the relationship between Glenn, like closer.
Oh yeah,
Island, that was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, and just you could tell he really cared about this guy.
And also, it's like most rich people, he shied away from talking about his money. Because
I started to try to do the math on some of the stuff he was buying then.
Yes,
what it like. And that he's still obviously continuing to buy.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bother to look him up, like where his money comes from. Is he
he was very wealthy, and so that's part of it. It's that this kind of
documentary from Robert Williams.
This documentary tends to kind of like draw a curtain over that kind of thing. They talk about collectors as being these advocates of great artists. They don't realize that these guys are just simply wealthy guys who have so much money. That they can
a lot of which is money laundering anyway.
It is kind of, especially like international art is all money laundering. But it was neat that the struggle that sculpture of the hand. I'm so cool they found it. That was kind of neat.
That was a nice close as well.
That was a nice close. It was
for sure. I wanted to share something with you guys. Our friend Robin, when her mother died, she had to, of course, go through all her stuff and get rid of things. And she said, would you guys like this sculpture my mom made? And I immediately said, yes. And I think I took it partly because it reminded me of, the Szukalski stuff I'd seen in the Juxtapose article. So I'm going to show you guys now this sculpture that my friend Robin's mother made.
That's cool.
It's pretty damn cool, isn't it? Kind of as a
you know what that looks like?
Easter Island going on.
You know what that looks like? It looks like, you remember that movie, The Time Machine, the original one, the George Powell one?
Yeah.
That looks just like that, doesn't it?
Modocs? What were they called?
That's a Morlock temple. They had
the Morlock temple.
Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah.
It's been in my backyard for years.
I'll put it
everything from here up. Everything from here up is a Guy Fawkes mask.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, right.
What is the material it's made of, John?
I don't know, but it's been in my backyard for a couple, like a decade.
Plaster, probably.
It's that super hard plaster they mentioned in the film. I can't.
They mentioned it in the film.
think that's what it might be.
Hydrocal. Yeah.
I will also, if there was ever a opportunity to go and see this guy's art in person, I would definitely go.
Definitely.
Oh yeah, it's. I
feel like I want to kind of get right up in on it. The movie, I appreciate trying to like zoom around like the shot behind Tab, but after a while I was like, could you turn the fucking lights on so I could see the detail, please?
I was just going to bring that up. I thought that whole Game of Thrones, the crown zooming around it.
Sense of the thing.
Turn the lights up and let me see what it is, because it's so weird. I need to be able to ingest
actually the last piece.
That's the techno guys.
You ever heard of either page for everything that happened to Poland or his life's work or whatever, but it's like I cannot fucking see what it is and show it. And again, the camera's too far away. I can't see it. So I got to go look for it on Google or something.
Right.
But the filmmaker part of me is I recognize what was happening. You ever heard of a periscope lens?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like this old lens. It has this big long tube that comes out, and that's what they're using in that. They're kind of sticking it into the sculpture and moving it around.
It's good for an opening credits sequence, but it repeatly doing it for the film,
it's a bit much. I would prefer to have just a 360 of the actual sculptures.
Yeah, 360
in a well lit gallery lighting kind of situation.
Why the fuck not? Don't let's drop the mystery a little bit once in a while. That'd be nice, But good stuff. Also,
I didn't like his sculpture. I
don't like his art.
No, I thought his pencil work and his ink work is fantastic.
Me
His
too.
2D stuff, I was all on board with his 2D stuff. His 3D stuff, I thought was just noise. Like it's just noise. Like I can't focus on anything.
Too much detail in it.
There's just too much shit going on.
Too baroque.
No, I'm actually backing Tad up on that one. I thought his pencil work, especially the idea about him starting with dots and filling in.
Pointless.
His light sources were always perfect. His proportions were always amazing. His 2D work was just great.
I like
his sculptures were too indulgent. I thought you're absolutely right. They're just you're trying to culminate too much into a sculpture.
I guess
who am I to criticize this guy? But it's
it's like a Hieronymus Bosch painting, but you made it 3D, so you have to walk around it, looking at everything.
I'm all in on that, but
man,
Jim's corner.
It looks pretty good.
Jim's corner, take it, Jim.
So I was talking with Chris a little bit about this, but this really reminded me, the only other documentary I've seen that this reminded me of was, not that he was as good an artist, Marwen Cole.
Oh yeah.
The guy who got like brain damaged after confessing that he was a cross dresser in some country bar, and then he was building that World War II village
with all the Barbie dolls,
with the little Barbie dolls. I thought he was sort of the low class American version of Szukalski.
That is a great documentary, by the way.
It is. Yeah. I saw it with the Banksy one.
Exit through the gift shop.
Exit through the gift shop. Anyway,
but they made that god awful.
I just want to remind everybody that the Nazis did not go to Poland to find his art to destroy it. They just happened to destroy it because they bombed the shit out of Warsaw.
Right.
Well, the thing is,
he didn't lose his art.
If anything, I think Goering would have like confiscated it and brought it.
Oh, they would have definitely kept all of it, man.
No, they would have brought him in.
I bet you some German guy saw that hand and went, "I'm keeping this."
Yeah.
And it's like, so
they would have brought him in to do work in Germany, like all the shit he was doing in Poland.
Well, he got that commission to do a portrait of Hitler.
And Goebbels or something, right?
And then he said yes. And I think they cut him a check, and then he sent a picture of Hitler dressed as a ballerina.
He sent him a sketch of what they were going to do.
Right.
They're like,
we're good.
No, we're good.
Thanks.
Thank you. And the thing is, I don't know if they were trying to show him as an iconoclast pariah in that scene. Like, oh, he's gonna Hitler the old ha ha ha. But maybe he was trying to say something and they didn't like it. Who knows?
It's like when Marge paints Mr. Burns naked.
Yes, that's actually pretty good analogy at that point. Yes,
forgot about that one.
Exactly right.
I mean, that story about him painting Hitler or drawing Hitler as a ballerina, you got to wonder if this guy, if everything he says is 100% true.
Also,
I mean, he also said he picked up his father and carried him on his father's corpse and carried it on his back and then took it home and dissected it.
He's a little mythopoetic.
You know what? I believe that.
1920s in Chicago, you could have done that.
Yeah, probably. Now, does anybody know about who Henry Darger
My father taught me anatomy.
That was, I mean, that's, Again, every 10 minutes, I'm reassessing this guy.
Ever heard of an artist named Henry Darger? Ever heard of him?
Heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, he was as janitor at the mental hospital in Chicago. When he died, they found out his whole apartment was filled full of this amazing 30,000 word long, kind of like this crazy science fiction story that he wrote by himself and illustrated by himself. This outsider art, basically, he invented it basically in the 20s. The thing behind Chris, his big treatise about
the 42 volumes. I just wanted to say something about his linguistic theories being all crap.
It's all crap. Then we all come.
Did you learn his alphabet? Did you have enough time in the movie?
I was intrigued. It was a beautiful alphabet.
It's like in
Futurama,
where there's the one that you can read and then there's the one that you can't read. So you have to learn the one that you can read first to learn the other one.
Because the first one is like an advertisement for Bachelor Chow.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But that felt like that. He finally kind of like he let loose his kind of inner ideas about crazy shit in the world. And it's like, hey, what if you're like in retirement age? Why not? Right.
Well, he made it to his 80s, right?
Yeah,
Maybe
shit.
90 when
Now's the time to talk about we all descend from hamsters or whatever. Fuck.
They dropped that, I mean, because it was pretty late in his life. They drop it pretty late in the film.
Yeah.
I mean, we've kind of gone through the whole Nazi thing and his whole first wife, second wife, moving to California, and then there's this sort of postscript where he develops this elaborate theory that everybody came from Easter Island.
Yeah.
And you see these.
Well, my question is,
goes off the
I started
50 volumes of
zoning out.
basically 50 volumes of pictures he cut out of magazines. It's like,
okay, where are these books and who has published them? I want to see them.
Well, what Glenn is his executor for the estate.
Yeah.
I want to see all these pictures because I'm sure there's some brilliant
They
shit.
should publish it.
Yeah, someone should. Yeah.
just scan it all in and put it on the internet.
Yeah,
You want to see his Kevin
and...
Spacey from Seven notebooks? I don't.
Fair point.
Oh,
it might just be just like that too. All right.
Solid thumbs up.
Yeah.
Oh, big thumbs up.
I just rewatched it this morning and I was
Great
glad I did.
documentaries. Tell you
we
about
didn't
stuff
we
you
didn't
have
get
no
Jared's.
idea about.
Do you want Jared's take?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, but Jared, please weigh in.
Struggle. Wow, what an incredible film. I was hooked the entire time. Szukalski is a fascinating subject. I am proof that he's completely overlooked because I have a double bachelor's in film theory and art history, and I've never heard of him. I have nothing to critique about the film except maybe the style is very conventional for a documentary when your material is as amazing as this. You don't need to be fancy. Szukalski was such a complex individual, an absolute madman, but in the best way, from making up his own alphabet, his theories on various human heritages, to his thoughts on patriotism. He was on another level, a truly unique mind. It's so bizarre that at the end of his crazy life, he and his wife were living in a suburban life in Burbank. I enjoyed all the people they interviewed as well. I imagine Jim also liked this one because, Nazis. I wish we could have seen Szukalski's drawing of Hitler. Great pick. Thumbs up.
There it is.
I want a copy of that.
Jared's not here. He's
Nazis.
cylinders, man.